Dow, trader, liquidity's mine. Green on the day for your coffee's on time. Let's go.
All right, welcome to the Wednesday night market update. If you're following my trade ideas, there's no reason you shouldn't have had an absolute banger of a day today. Today was huge for me, from Amazon to Meta and TSM. I mean, just banger of a day. Huge. Anyways, we'll start things off here with SPY. Basically started pre-market pretty high, gapped up here to 735.95. I do believe we opened inside of yesterday's range and just consolidated for the day. I did bring this up as one of the possibilities yesterday, and I don't see any problem with what it's doing. The more we can consolidate in this area is totally cool and fine, which will make, the higher low above 752.15 all that better. If and when that does happen, even if it's tomorrow, okay, after 2 days of consolidation, more would be better. First target would be 753.95, which was last night's overnight all-time high, and then go from there. If we do, for some reason, get a lower high below 748.50, I don't know that I would want to step up and short this thing, but I would probably, just not engage would be the top idea there. Flipping on over to QQQ. QQQ had a little more action, as is pretty much been the norm lately. We do have a new overnight all-time high level up here at 737.57, I guess. So the best way to trade QQQ would be if we can pull back and close this little tiny gap right here, get some type of reversal pattern going on, or some type of like inverted hammer, or some type of hammer candle there with volume showing buyers are stepping back in, higher low to recover back into this range. And then I would look at, trading back up to equal all-time highs. That's probably the only trade I'd be interested in, but we'll also go over that consolidation in this area is totally fine. Then a higher low, that's not terrible either. If for some reason we do get a lower high below the bottom of this gap, I'd probably just step back and see how it plays out and await further information. Flipping to the Russell IWM. Pretty much the same setup here as QQQ. As crude oil continues to drop, as interest rates, things like Iran de-escalation, if that continues, obviously that's what's good for IWM, good for the Russell. The best trade here is a gap fill reversal, something like this, then recover top of the gap, continue up. Obviously, there's other pathways, but I think that pathway is the most tradable. If we get back below the gap, just, I would step back. All right, so we've been bringing up Meta for quite some time. Today was the day that broke above the gap, gave a higher low above the gap, and I'm looking at most likely continuation for this thing. I was able to catch this pullback here towards the end of the day, got a little run out of it, not bad at all. So going forward, let's look at this daily chart. It is a huge green candle today. You can notice that we have a nice increase in volume above the average down here. So going into tomorrow, two ways. Hopefully it doesn't open up, gapped up above this entire gap, because if that happens, the trade's basically ruined. Okay. and too bad you didn't get in today. But if it doesn't open gapped up over the top of this gap, the best path, pull back to 625.23 or even 619.69 would be okay. And look for some type of reversal pattern, some type of sign that buyers are stepping it in. I don't care if we get like a 5-minute hammer candle right here, right? Something that looks like this. And you're looking at volume and it's got an increase in volume on it, then the next candle breaks the high of that candle. That's good enough of a setup for me to get involved. If that happens on this level or possibly even the top of this level down at 619.75, I think that would be enough for me to get back involved. Um, and then from there, I'd probably be targeting the equal high, 638.25, and then trying to get some runners to close the remainder of this gap or up towards 658.20. That's the best path. There is an alternate path here. Um, very simply, a higher low above today's high a day could bring more gap close on this. Not the better path, but still a way for that to happen. If for any reason, and looking at today's price action, I think this is less probable, but if for any reason we get back below 619.70, lower high below, might be okay for a short if that were to happen to the other end of this bounce range. I think that's definitely I think it's less probable. Meta is top of my list tomorrow. Amazon. We did break above 269.50 today. If we go to the 5-minute chart, got a higher low here. We got a better one here with the hammer candle, and then continuation back up towards the end of the day. So going forward into tomorrow, kind of similar to the Meta thing here. If we get a pullback to 269.50 and get some type of reversal pattern, some type of sign, buyers are stepping in. That's good enough for me to go long off that level. First target equal highs 272.50, then a higher low above that. I'm coming in, I am targeting all-time highs. Very interested in this. If for any reason we pull back below this 269.50, lower high below, I could see a world where we retrace back to 263.25. So less likely, but still a possibility. Next up is Google. Google is still trading right to this 392.75. We have a couple possibilities with Google. The first one and the top one I'm looking for, higher low above 392.75 to move up. Next possibility, pop above this level, come back in, get a lower high below it, probably coming back targeting 384.10. Next possibility, we come down, get below 384.10, come back in, get a higher low above. That would probably be enough for me to get long to target this, and then I would be thinking from there, maybe that would also trigger a higher low above 392.75 to continue up. Next possibility, come down, any lower highs below 381 could open up the door for some pretty big move to the downside, as it is all thin structure. If we come over here, it's all thin structure over to the left-hand side, plus we have a big gap over here. So that could open up a pretty big downside move. that is something to keep in the back of your mind with Google. Moving on to NVIDIA. If we go to the daily chart on NVIDIA today, something stands out to me. We pulled back to this 208 level, and then buyers stepped in and we left a hammer candle on the day. So I am looking tomorrow. Is that enough for a higher low on this daily chart? It very well could be. So we'll go back to the hourly chart real quick here. So if, market internals are looking nice again tomorrow, and we get a higher low above 214.12, also above the 20 simple day moving average, that would be enough for me to get long to at least 218.35. 218.35 then becomes a critical level that we've really got to pay attention to what happens when we get here. Because at that point, there is a possibility that it rejects by sellers, we get a lower high and continue back down. So we need to be open to that possibility. However, if we do break above and get price acceptance above this level and a higher low, I would think we officially have a higher low on a daily chart and we start trying to trade back up towards equal highs. So that's how I'm looking at NVIDIA. And I think it's an important watch for charts tomorrow. TSM. Remember, I shared the idea yesterday. If we broke above 419.67, got a higher low above, that would be a great place to get long. Instead, what ended up happening is TSM gapped up overnight, way up to 433.37. As you can see, we opened here and pulled back to that 419.67 level. I did catch a trade on this higher low right here. And I wrote it up, and I made out pretty well on that trade. As you can see, it did pull back from there, came through, and eventually closed the gap right here on this candle at 850. And as is the base case, whenever a gap closes, we're looking for a gap fill reversal. And no kidding, that candle closed right there, and then the break of this high was good for a long on a gap fill reversal, making it all the way back up here to 424.75. I think NVIDIA, right? I think TSM is still in play for tomorrow. It's going to be a little bit harder to get involved tomorrow if you didn't already get involved today on the gap fill reversal. However, I do see some ways that involvement could happen. The first one being, if we come back, break below 419.67, come back in, get a clear higher low back above, I'm probably trying to get long off that. Also, another way that one might be able to get long off this, let's say we open up near highs tomorrow, one could attempt a higher low over today's high a day to get long. We are breaking out of a multi-week, it might even have been months of a bounce range. Typically, whenever that happens, you're looking to double that range, and the range double is up here at 452.85. So as long as we can hold above this 419.67, I think we have a good breakout on our hands. If for any reason we do get back below today's low of day with a lower high, then that might be a failed breakout that ends up targeting 387.20, the other end of this bounce range. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it could. Apple's not looking too bad. We got 1, 2, 3 days of flagging up here at the top. You can see it better on the hourly chart. Therefore, if we can get a clear and decent higher low above 311.80 and a good setup to go long, I wouldn't have a problem with going long on a clear higher low above that with an environment where market internals are green and you see volume stepping up on the candle right there. Sure, why not? Also, if we get a lower high below 308.65, I would think we come through and retrace at least through the remainder of this gap close, if not all the way back to 303.20. And next, Intel, lot of clean setups, might I just say. I mean, I'm just having a heck of a good week. That's all I know. Between today and yesterday, it is one of the better ones. Higher lows above 124.50, still waiting for that on Intel for equal highs. As you can see, it has like made a couple attempts 2 days in a row above here. So I'm just waiting to make sure I got a good clean higher low in a good green environment. Volume stepping up on the breakout, all the associated factors working in my favor if I'm going to attempt this. That's what I'm waiting for here. Otherwise, just consolidation below. No need for me to get involved. Looking for this. Either a clear higher low above 76.50 to go up, or a break above 76.50 with the lower high back below, retrace back down to 73.60. One or the other I'm looking for on that one. And last one on the block for tonight is Tesla. I was actually able to catch some of this gap fill on Tesla today. And yesterday's video, we were looking for a higher low above 434.70 to fill this gap. What ended up happening is it ended up opening gapped up and then traded down, filled the gap, then did a gap fill reversal. So going into tomorrow, I do see a world where maybe we consolidate here and then get a higher low above 442.25, come in, target 453.75 to the upside. Yeah, either that or break below 434.70, then come back up with a higher low back above to go long. Just kind of looking for those two setups. Tesla does have a catalyst right now, merger, SpaceX, all that good stuff. That's all I've got for tonight. Please, if this stuff helps you, comment, like, subscribe, follow, do all that fun stuff. I'm out.
Yeah. That's the setup, that's the play, that's the plan. Log the trade, close the app, wash my hands. No revenge, no chase, no holding the loss. Dow trader, disciplines the boss. You saw the level, you saw the sweep, now you know. Patience over prediction, that's the dog. Dow trader, smash that subscribe. I'll be back at the open, watch the next one ride. Plan a trade, trade a plan. See you at the bell.